This story comes to us from a man named JC. We are going to call him Jordan. Now, Jordan never really paid much attention to the black-eyed kid phenomena. He went through a phase as a teenager where he studied almost everything paranormal he could get his hands on, so he had heard the usual stories. And the creepy Photoshop pictures of freaky kids seemed to be everywhere online, but he just swiped right by them, chalking them up to an urban legend. These days, he's pretty much a skeptic where spectacular creature phenomena are concerned. Or he was. Recently, Jordan was driving, listening to some really old podcast about black-eyed kids and their original internet post from Abilene, and he almost wrecked his truck. The story is so similar to an experience that he and his boyfriend Craig had a few years ago. Jordan was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on a date with his new boyfriend Craig. It's actually their first date, even though they met online over a year ago and have been an official couple for 4 months already. And they decided it was about damn time to meet face to face and decide on a weekend in Baton Rouge for a National College Football Championship, a little bit of partying, and hanging out in general. Their first night there, they decide to see a movie and get to the theater about an hour early so they can make sure that they get good seats. They get their tickets, and still having some time to kill, they decide to walk across the street to the Mall of Louisiana and take a quick look around and do some window shopping. And it's kind of late. It's about 7:30 or so in the evening, so most of the shops are closed. But they decide to go anyway, and if nothing else, just to walk around and stretch their legs. And they've just crossed the street at the crosswalk, right between the theater and the bowling alley arcade, when it happens. They never see them walk up, which is odd because Jordan really has a hyper-focused sense of observation. He grew up in a really bad environment, and he learns early to take note of everyone and everything, no matter if he thinks someone is a threat or not, just in case. Jordan and Craig, who is younger than him and also kind of a smaller guy, have just made it to the other side of the street when seemingly out of nowhere, two boys approach them. One looks to be about 16 and the other is about 12 or 13, both of them Caucasian in appearance. And it's just light enough outside to still be able to see that the older one has either brown or sandy blonde hair, and the younger one's got brown hair. Jordan's first impression is that their clothes are kind of weird. They look like kind of Abercrombie, kind of Hollister clothes a typical suburban kid might wear, but from the mid-90s, kind of faded almost. The older boy starts talking and immediately creeps Jordan out.
Do you have a car?
He just walks up to Jordan and asks that. But Jordan is a nice guy. And other than the weird feeling that something is a little off, despite it being such an odd question, he decides to answer. At this point, Craig is beside Jordan and slightly behind to his left because he's following Jordan as they're walking and talking. But both stop because of how weirded out they both feel this situation is. Jordan looks at Craig and he has his head down and moves behind Jordan. Jordan is a bigger guy and he can tell Craig is pretty much using him as a human shield. Craig doesn't scare easily. He has never backed down from a fight, and this particular trait has gotten him into trouble before. But now he is hiding behind Jordan. When he sees Jordan looking at him, he raises his head, shakes his head no before putting his head back down. He also isn't on his phone, which is weird because he had just been in the middle of a lively Snapchat conversation like a minute ago. Jordan looks back at the boys, and neither of them has moved. Now, he doesn't know why he decided to answer their question because his first instinct is to lie and get Craig away from there. But he tells them, well, not really. I mean, I have a rental. It's parked over there. And points to the movie theater parking lot.
Can you give us a ride?
Despite the complete sense of uneasiness Jordan has and the extremely strong sense that they do not need to be anywhere near his car, he's curious. Jordan had been a youth pastor and a youth addiction counselor in the past. So when he sees a kid in need, his first instinct is always to help him out and figure out what's going on. Where do you need to go?
We came to the mall, but we need to get back to our house. It's not far from here. Our parents will be mad if we don't get back.
Well, why don't you call them? Maybe they can give you a ride. Despite their average appearance, Jordan is dead set against giving them a ride and notices popping up in his head images of maniacal smiles and his throat being slit from behind. This time, the younger one chimes in.
We don't have phones.
Jordan has a habit of scanning his surroundings, so he looks up to see if other people milling around are trying to get past them on the sidewalk or looking at the strange conversation of men in the middle of the busy thoroughfare. But just as he looks up, he hears the younger one say,
They're not paying attention.
Jordan hears him say. He never sees him speak, despite standing not even 3 feet from him and his face being very much in Jordan's field of vision. And he's pretty sure the kid is speaking to his brother. The brother looks at him and Jordan hears,
They can help us.
And looking back at Jordan,
They can see us.
Jordan thinks this is odd, but he is more concerned with finding a polite end to the conversation and seeing these boys safely on their way. I really wish I could help you, but there's all kinds of stuff in my backseat and we have to get to a movie soon.
It won't take long. It's not far.
Jordan barely manages to notice that the rest of the people at the mall look kind of washed out, like they're not really there, when he sees the kid's eyes for the first time. They are the palest shade of green. Yep, odd for a black-eyed kid story, but stick with me. His eyes, though Jordan can see them, are kind of ethereal, almost not really there, almost transparent, like ghost eyes. They have bits of yellow in them, maybe even turn blue. He's not really sure, but they are hypnotizing. Jordan sees fear in his eyes, not the I'm about to die fear, but the I need serious help fear. The fear a kidnap victim might feel, or a lost kid. The older boy looks at the younger boy again.
Yeah, he can see us. Ask him for help. He can help us.
Jordan is totally sketched out by now, and he just wants to leave. I can't give you a ride, but you said it's not far. Can you walk? Or do you want to use my phone to call your parents?
They're not home. They're still at work. It's too far to walk. A couple of miles.
By now, Jordan is desperate to get away. The sense of urgency to help is getting too strong, and he doesn't like it because every time he thinks about helping, he gets a stronger sense that he's going to be murdered. He just knows that if he even survives the trip to their house, he will be invited in and he won't be able to refuse. Their parents will be inside and it will be bad. Craig isn't even a thought at this point, except that he's so close behind Jordan that Jordan can actually feel his presence. They have to go. I can maybe give you a couple of bucks for bus fare. The bus stop is right there.
We just moved here. We don't know the bus stops. We just need a ride.
Where are you from?
Far away.
Look, I wish I could help you, but we've got to go. And with that, Jordan starts to walk away, making sure that Craig is behind him. And they walk fast. Jordan turns around about 5 seconds later to look at these two weirdos and make sure that they're not following, and they're gone. Craig is pissed. I can't believe you just did that. Did what? Talk to them. What? They needed our help. They were messed up. What, you mean high? Their pupils weren't dilated. No, they didn't have pupils. They were messed up. I didn't see anything. I can't believe you didn't see anything. I'm telling you, they were messed up. That's why I didn't say anything, and I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. Jordan believes him. Kind of. He tries to joke around about their weird attitudes and the insistence on getting in his car. But Craig gets even more upset. Just stop. Stop talking about it. I'm done. I'm not crazy. So Jordan drops it until he hears that story about black-eyed kids on the podcast. He calls up Craig and asks him, "Those guys at the mall back in Baton Rouge, did they have black eyes?" "Yeah." And that's all he would say. He's still too scared to talk about it. But looking back, Jordan remembers that weekend. It was bad. Jordan and Craig argued about trivial stuff, and they almost broke up. Craig even developed a nosebleed that night. After he went to bed, Jordan almost went nuts. He drove across town full of this unexplainable angst and stopped at one of the riverboat casinos, the Belle of Baton Rouge. Out on the top deck, Jordan looked down into the water and had this strong urge to throw himself into the Mississippi. It was raining and the water looked rough, and he knew that if he did that, he wouldn't survive. But thankfully, he was able to resist the urge. But that's not even the end. In the weeks that followed, Jordan almost had a nervous breakdown. He was having issues at work that almost cost him his job, and he and Craig almost broke up again. He finally got desperate enough that he went to a psychic who helped him do a cleansing. And things which had slowly been spiraling into an abyss started improving. And a pagan witch friend of his, who was way more experienced at dealing with the paranormal than Jordan, told him these are spirits of kids who were horribly abused in life. Maybe the sins you commit in this life do come back in the next.